What's going on, everybody? Here we are on another episode of Design Today. I'm excited to be able to get into today's episode. We're just about to start recording a new episode with my brother Josh. I'll give you a couple insights on today's episode in a second. I first want to plug a couple upcoming events. I've got a couple events coming up that I would hope to see you guys at. The first one is going to be at BYU, Idaho. This is on March 22nd. It's going to be a speaking event with the Young Professionals Club or group on campus. It's going to be a really fun one. We're going to get to talk a little bit about creating and validating a business idea, what it takes to kind of start that business from a lean perspective. And it should be a fun one. I'm really excited about that one. First opportunity that I've had to come back to BYU, Idaho and speak there to, I guess, what was my peers group when I was there as a student. The second event coming up is going to be in April. I believe it's April 13th. The event is called Product Hive. It's a local meetup for creatives and product managers. And that one's going to be a little bit more focused on mobile design and kind of the how of bringing brand and native mobile design together. And that too is going to be a fun one. I'll plug both of these again as the events get closer, but mark your calendars. Again, I'd love to see you there. It's going to be great. Like I said, we got another episode today. Today I had the opportunity to interview one of the nearest and dearest people to my heart, my brother, Josh Winspear. He has been a creative designer for 15, 20 plus years, if he'll admit to that. And we're going to talk a little bit about personal brand, networking, and a couple other things that he's learned on his path to where he's at today. He's been in Utah for just a couple years, formerly in kind of the San Diego area. And I'm really excited to interview him. It should be pretty genuine. When Josh and I get together, we typically laugh more than we should. Evidence of that will be how often I have to go back and edit out some of the conversation we have. Hopefully I'll leave it all raw for you guys. And he'll make a few comments that may be inappropriate, but that's going to be as genuine as you guys are going to get. Here we are. We're going to get started. Okay. Here we go. Josh, welcome to the show. I introduced you as my beloved brother. So I have to live up to that hype too. I already recorded the introduction, so we're jumping right into it.
Cool.
Josh, give us a little bit of a background on when you started designing, a little bit of that history.
I mean,
Go
way back.
Way back.
Dig deep. Started kindergarten.
Further.
Might have been preschool. Play-Doh. I think it really started in high school. We had it started with, it was like a drawing class. So, yeah. And you would have to, I remember one specific project. It was, we had to draw something, and I chose the word, is this thing recording?
Yep.
We're good this time.
Pretty good.
I chose the word temperature, so I had, thermometer, and I had, the word temperature was, went from hot to cold, and,
sure.
I kind of started, things started evolving there. Then there was, a pottery class, and then the school offered I don't even know what it was called. It wasn't Photoshop, but it was probably the first
preliminary.
Yeah, it could have been Photoshop. I just don't remember what it was called, but
sure.
It was definitely, it was an application that, you edited photos, and I really got into it, and I sucked at math. So, here I am, and I gravitated towards.
I wonder how many designers would say that too.
I suck at math.
Well, I got into design because I suck at math.
I would say almost all of us.
My parents said I could be an attorney or a doctor, and I couldn't do either. So I went to design.
No, so yeah, it started in high school, and but I think it even started before that. My mom had this old typewriter, electronic typewriter, and it wasn't like the little arms going up. I don't even know if you know what that is, but
okay, here we go.
But it was like an electronic typewriter, had a little like tiny screen, and you could see the words going across as you were typing. And I remember just making whatever I could out of, like keystrokes and letters and whatever else, just to kind of have fun with it. And, I think it all just kind of progressively started there and moved up through college and landed at a school and focused on advertising and design.
For those who are listening or watching, we attempted to record this podcast a week ago.
Yes, this feels like deja vu.
Unfortunately, the cameras fell off the stands a couple times, stopped recording midway through. Did we have an interruption? I can't remember. No, we didn't have an interruption.
No interruptions.
So we're doing this again. So a lot of this is kind of recapping again. But one of the things that I didn't ask you last time that I wish I would have had is when you went to BYU Hawaii, did you go for art or was it, you just mentioned advertising. What was the degree that you were going into?
Well, first of all, I went to BYU Hawaii to surf. So let's just get that out there. No, I'm just kidding. It was called, the degree was commercial art.
It was commercial art. Okay.
Yeah, so.
Was that part of the art department? Or
yeah.
It was.
Yeah, so, but they had other prerequisites that you had to take, drawing and painting.
Yeah.
And it was all part of the program. And then
Right.
you finally would move into some classes with Photoshop and Quark Express.
And did they ever pull in the business aspect of it or?
A little bit. Based on our projects, you'd have to do like an identity project.
Sure.
Logo, and you'd have to do business cards and things like that. So,
right.
Yeah, they tried to do, I think if I remember right, that our final project was like a big identity deal. So, yeah, they tried to make it as real as possible. But it wasn't like my experience when I went to the Art Institute, where we did several projects every semester and focused on different aspects all the time.
Sure. So was it a degree in fine arts that you got?
Yes, but it was an associate's. So that's all BYU at that time offered. I don't even know if they offer the degree anymore.
Gotcha.
So from there I transferred to another school so that I could pursue that all.
What was that?
That would have been the Art Institute.
San Diego?
San Diego.
Oh, okay. So you finished off your degree there.
Yep.
And then from school, you took your first job, I believe, at a bank. Is that what you said? With a bank?
Yep.
Not as a teller or anything, but took a job with a bank.
Yep.
Doling out money.
Yeah, no, I took a job at California Bank and Trust and managed their advertising and design, which really was, I managed the advertising for all the branches, built their ads, got them submitted to the papers, and then when we had corporate campaigns, I would jump in and help with the production of all of the collateral and the web assets and things like that.
Out of school, how did you get your in with the bank?
I just applied.
Really?
Yeah, I was just hitting the pavement and applying and applying and applying. And there's a funny story to that. So for the interview, I was late. Well, I wasn't late. I was lost. I couldn't find the building. And I didn't have a cell phone back then. So I pull over at an AM PM and
So just for the record, you talked about how you used a typewriter in school and you didn't have a phone.
And it was a.
Do you want to clarify how?
Yeah, seriously. You can edit that because I'm starting to show my age. As long as I don't start talking like about Journey or
Rush.
Yeah,
Rush.
Yeah. That's too far back.
So you're late for your interview.
Late for the interview. I call the hiring manager, and he has the story as I said, "Dude, I'm late. I'm lost." So my very first day, I get to the interview. I had a good interview. I left. They called me back 2 days later. I mean, I had the job within a week.
Sure.
And it went really, really fast. And I get to my first day, and they actually made me a name tag, and it said "Dude." And I'm like, "What is this about?"
I'm lost.
And he's like, "When you called me and told me you were lost, you called me dude, and I pretty much wanted to hire you right then and there."
How old is that guy?
At that time, he's probably mid-40s.
That's right.
So yeah.
Respect.
Yeah, so that was that. So from the California Bank and Trust, I then went to San Diego County Credit Union and
jumped around from gig to gig.
Gig in it.
how important was who you knew in that process of jumping gig to gig?
Um, you know, with those jobs, it still was. I applied.
It was.
I felt like I kind of had reached, you know, the ceiling at the bank,
Yeah.
and I didn't feel like there was much more growth there for me. And
Sure.
I started applying to other jobs, and then I got into the next one just,
Yep.
you know, based off of my resume, I guess. I don't know.
And your good looks or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't call them dude though.
No?
No, no, I don't know. You know, but I do think it is important to network, but I've been lucky, and
That's cool. Let's talk about your freelance stuff because I know you've been doing a bit of that over the years as well.
yes, sir.
Where did that start? How did that start?
I just started as a poor student trying to make extra money.
And somebody knew that you designed and said, "Hey, I'm gonna hit up Josh for a business card."
Yeah, it starts with a logo here, logo there, business card,
Yeah.
you know, and then cheap, you know, and that's another thing. It's like freelancers, it's like I sometimes feel like I get put in a position where it's like, okay, I want to help these guys, but I want to make money too. And
Uh-huh.
what's the fine line? Where's the
Uh-huh.
balance? And I end up feeling like I'm helping more than I'm making money.
Sure.
But um, you know, I did it for a long time, and midnight, you know, burning the midnight oil and grinding away, and I've had a lot of good experiences doing freelance, and a lot of, you know, not bad experiences, but just projects that
Freelance experiences.
freelance experiences. There you go.
How much free work have you done over the years?
I mean, how do we?
Or discounted work?
Yeah, I don't ever do free work. I
No,
don't.
not even at the beginning?
No.
No?
Um, I've done. I mean, yes, I've helped friends out
Sure.
and done a few free things,
Yeah.
I guess. But mostly, I'll do it for a cheaper rate. You know.
Somebody who's wanting to get their feet wet in design, do they do free work or do they not?
It's such a catch-22 because
Yeah.
I feel like the more designers are out there doing free work or doing discounted work, I think it brings the value down for everybody.
Yeah, I agree.
And I feel like that then impacts even at the corporate level. Oh, he's a designer. Give him,
Yeah.
they're not. They should be at, X amount versus where we believe we should be at,
Sure.
or we know we should be at.
Sure.
So, I think it's good. I think when you're students, I think that's where you should be focusing on building your portfolio and really figuring out your what you want to do and go from there. I think when you get in the real world, charge what you can.
Right.
Scope it out. If you know it's a little mom and pa and you want to help them out, then then do it. But if it's a company that has the budget, don't be afraid. Put
Yeah.
out a number and see what happens. And if it sticks, man, you made a few extra bucks.
No, that's an interesting thought because I mean, over the years as I've been freelancing, like my rate, I used to have like a pretty consistent rate,
Yeah.
and as things have evolved, as I feel like I've gotten more talented or a better ability to help these companies, I've changed my rate here and there, and I've always been concerned about like, when am I going to change it to a rate where nobody's going to want to use me anymore? And I haven't hit that yet. So I don't know if that means I'm charging too little still, or if it means that designers can be valued based upon their work, and there's really no cap to it if you can justify the result.
I think it all depends on the company and the budget. And I mean, here's an example. I have a friend he worked at a spinal fusion company. They called me up one day. The piece was already designed. They literally need me to change like a sentence,
Sure.
a punctuation issue, and a word issue, and
Sure.
literally go into the file, make the edit, and crank out a PDF and send it over to them.
Yep.
They called me. I said, all right, well, I like to charge a minimum of an hour. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit down and be like, okay, that took me 10 minutes. I'm going to charge you, $11.75,
Perfect. I can get lunch tomorrow.
So I said, all right, that'll be, and I knew that they're a bigger company. So I just said
Yep.
$75 for that one little change. Well, I played soccer with him, or with my friend who had the connection. I played soccer with him, and after the game, he pulls me aside. He says, Josh, you need to charge us more. I'm like, oh, I felt like it was a fair. Well, I mean, what's the problem? $75 for what I did? It was no big deal. He says, Josh, if we would have gone to our agency, they would have charged us probably about $900.
Stop.
Yeah. So, it.
But do you think at that point that, I don't know, amps up this company on coming back and using you in the future?
They did.
They did come back. So obviously it worked then coming back. Did you end up charging them more?
Oh yeah, they hired me to do a 4-page brochure, big 8.5 by 11 type.
What'd you do to your rate?
We negotiated a decent
Better
rate, which I said, well, what do you think? Because he was an inside friend. I mean,
Right.
what do you think your agency would charge for this? And he's like, I don't think I said I'll charge whatever. I'll charge half of whatever you think your agency will charge.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I killed it on that one.
Uh-huh.
So if you can imagine $900 for a sentence change, I made a little bit of dough off of that little 4-page brochure.
Don't you love when that happens?
Those are nice gigs.
So I had a website that fell into my lap, and they were like, we had an agency give us a bid on this. They were going to charge us. It was like a $20,000 for a really simple website. I was like, $20,000. I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds to be in the right ballpark. And in my mind, I just see numbers going up in the air, like, oh my gosh, I could really make some profit off of this.
Right.
In the end, I ended up charging them half of what that was. And at that point, in my mind, I'm still going, that's going to be a steal for me. I mean, I'm still going to be making good profit off of this. And in their mind, they're going, this is a steal for us. So it truly was a win-win.
It is a win-win, but I think I go back to the value of a designer. And I know this isn't the focus of this podcast, but I do feel like the value of a designer seems that there's a gray area. And I feel like the more, I just feel like it fluctuates so much.
Yep.
That I hate to see designers get devalued, and because they're just trying to, make money. I mean, I get it, but on the other hand, I feel like, charge what you're worth, charge what you believe in, believe in yourself and go for it. So these kids, school, work on your portfolio, get your stuff together. If you get a project out of school, or even when you're in school, you could be like, well, here's what I'm charging right now. I'm going to charge, I don't know, flat rate it. Sure. Oh, do you want me to do work on your website? I'll charge you,
I don't think you're saying this, but I mean, for someone who's coming out of school, though, their rate's going to be different than when they've been in the field for 20 years.
Right. Or 10 years or 5 years. Or
sure.
Even, but I just feel like you got to value yourself and what you do, because there is more to design than designing.
So how do they figure out what that number is?
That's a good question. I bought a book. I don't know, what was it called? I mean, it had tons of rates. This book's probably 10 years old now, but it had all the rates with everything from logo and identity to packaging to advertising to, the whole gamut. And, you ask questions, find out what other designers are charging, call agencies and, hey, I'm trying to get a ballpark price for what this might be, and then go off of that.
That's interesting. I've never done that.
Neither have I, to be honest. But
it was a good book.
I bought the book, but I've never
hit up the agency,
hit up anybody to kind of get a price off of them. But
yeah, no, I think evaluating that price, I think, is important. I mean, even I designed a logo back when I was in school, and this was like when I was really just starting to get my feet wet in design. And I did a logo. I'm talking like I probably charged like $150 for a logo.
I'll call you Mr. Nike. I mean, the guy that did the Nike logo got like $100 or something.
Right, exactly. And then for whatever reason, that guy hit me up just this last year for a new project that he was starting. He was like, hey, I liked what you did with my logo years back, and I want you to do a new one for me. And I was like, first off, that's really cool that you come back to me. I mean, we haven't chatted in 6 years probably. And you come back and you ask for a new logo. I said, I just want to give you fair warning. I think my skill set's improved over the years, and it's reflected in my price that I'm going to be charging for this. And he was totally understanding of it, and it worked out really smooth. But I guess that's just another plug for evaluate your price and stay relevant to what you can actually bring to the table.
Yeah, it's true. And I had a thought when you were talking, and now it went away, but maybe it'll come back to me. But I agree. Go for it. Do it. Get what you can, and if you want to help somebody out, like I said, feel free. Don't. If you really want to build up your portfolio and you don't feel like you have enough in there, you could do it for your project, or you could just mock stuff up where you're not devaluing yourself or giving some, company who knows that they're
Yeah.
taking you to the hole,
Right.
and they're getting really, really, really cheap free work.
Yep.
I don't think it's fair.
Can we talk about your new gig a little bit?
Sure.
What is your role? I mean, we don't have to name drop or anything as far as company unless you're okay with that. But your new role, you just landed this gig just this last week. What is the title that you have with this new one?
Well, I specialize in making gourmet coffees, and
Shut up.
it's a creative manager position. Pretty excited about it. I feel like we're going to do a lot of fun stuff, and I'm looking forward to working with the other designers there and my director. And
So what you're actually going to be designing, or as a team be designing, is for advertising, for marketing, for product, or what is the realm?
a lot of product. There will be
Packaging by product, is that what you mean? 'Cause this isn't actually
packaging.
tech.
No,
This is like physical goods.
yeah, physical goods, supplements.
Yep.
So a lot of packaging, branding efforts. We will be doing an app or redoing an app
Oh,
at
cool.
some point. Obviously, all the digital assets and working with the digital team and getting them those things. And there's a lot of cool things that are going to be coming down there. It's kind of already in motion, but a new building, and that'll be cool to see that get all branded and
Sure.
see
Do
how
you
that.
be part of the the interior design?
Well, they have an outside
Yeah.
third party company
That's-
working on that,
right.
and I think a lot of that is already in motion.
Let's go.
But I would love to get into that a little bit. But
So I want to ask you a couple questions now that you are in a position as a manager where you could be evaluating new candidates, hiring new candidates. What are you looking for now as a hiring manager? You put out a resume, or I'm sorry, a job posting. You get applicants applying for it. What do you start looking for?
I think essentially all these designers coming out of school or that are already out there, I think a lot of us can bring the same talents to the table. And I think a lot of it is just personality blend,
Mm-hmm.
and how would you fit in with that specific team? Do you have the right personality? Do you have the right? I mean, sure, you want to see their book and you want to make sure that they
Right.
can, that they can design and that they can bring good concepts and good ideas to the table.
Right.
I'm not saying that, but I do feel that a lot of times we don't get a gig and it's like, why didn't I get that job?
Right.
And it may have nothing to do with your work, may have nothing to do with anything regarding that. It may just be a personality thing. And I think personality is a big deal, and I don't know how to coach that or I think that might just be the luck of the draw. But
Sure.
I think, from a portfolio standpoint, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is getting your stuff up to date, keeping it fresh, keeping it current. I mean, I was working on my portfolio, and before I got this one, and I was deleting it, but I definitely was putting it in the shelf.
Filtering it out.
It's like, all right, that project's seen its day and it's done.
Yep.
It's that doesn't do anything for me, and
Yep.
doesn't excite them.
Yep.
So
Somebody out of school who's got a small portfolio, what do you recommend they do to boost their portfolio if they're not landing new work?
well, like I said, I would, and we've talked about this a little bit, do some mock projects. Just mock things up, get things.
Fake projects.
Yeah, fake.
Come
I
up with
mean,
something. There's websites out there that help put together like these fake ideas. Like they give you fake creative briefs. I'm dead serious. And I've actually referred a couple people to those, saying, "Here, just come up with some fake ideas and start designing." They're like, "Well, how do I come up with a fake idea?" It's like, here's a URL, all for fake ideas.
there you go. I mean, I think and you don't have to have a lot, because you don't want to be going through. Well, back in my day, since we've talked about a typewriter and
Days before cell phones,
days before cell phones, but we used to put
mail
things
each
up
other.
Yeah, we used to put things up on blackboards and present it, and you don't want to be like. So now when you're on your website,
Right.
maybe you can put a little bit more content on it and not feel, and because they can always click out when they want to, but
Right.
I think putting together your portfolio, keeping it fresh, and getting it, doing mock projects if you don't have it, or go find somebody out there and be like, hey, put it out on Facebook, put it out on your whatever social media feed, and be like, hey, I'm gonna offer a cheap rate, or here's a free project. I'm working on my portfolio, and I know this goes back against what I was saying earlier about devaluing yourself, but if you really need work to...
No, I agree with you. I mean, I did this about a year and a half ago when I realized I hadn't designed a logo or branding in general for probably 9 months or so. And so I'm looking at my portfolio going, some of this stuff is looking pretty old. So I'm going to put together a couple new logos and a couple new identities together. And I posted something on LinkedIn who needed some new stuff. And had a ton of people hit me up, and then I just filter out the ones that I was actually interested in.
Yeah.
Did a couple logos and able to add it to the portfolio real quick. We're talking in a matter of a couple weeks. You've got some updated portfolio stuff.
Another good idea is to start hitting up some of these agencies that are out there. Hit them up, say, hey, I'm either in school, I'm just out of school. I want to work on my portfolio. Do you guys have any work? I'm willing to work for... Some of them, I'd like to intern. Maybe it's an internship at an agency. Maybe it's, hitting up some of these, because these agencies will take the free work.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
Especially some of the smaller, to mid-size agencies. The big ones may not so much, but, it is a little bit who you know, and just getting your feet out there. And who knows what will happen if you go to these agencies or companies, and you might end up impressing somebody and landing a gig there, and next thing you know, you're working there.
Are you going to be more impressed, or I don't want to say less impressed, because I don't think that's the case. More impressed, or does it matter if you see an applicant who is out there networking, is out there trying to develop their own personal brand? Is that a benefit?
Yeah, I mean,
it seems like an obvious answer.
Yeah, I think the more... It's like, do you wear a suit to an interview? I don't know anymore, but...
Did you wear a suit to your last interview?
No.
Did you wear a suit to your dude interview?
No. No, I haven't worn a suit. I don't think I've ever worn a suit to an interview.
No?
No. Maybe a tie early in the day, but not lately.
I'm trying to remember if I ever did. Dad's super old school, right? So I think when I had one of those first interviews it could have been McDonald's or Subway.
Wear a suit.
I probably wore a shirt and tie to one of those McDonald's interviews.
So look at this kid. He's coming here to make fries, and he's
Oh yeah, man.
No, I think it is important. I mean, I think it's all going to be reflected on your website.
Yeah.
And I think the more cohesive you can show who you are and what you're about, and that there's some thought behind your portfolio, and it's not just I'm just going to put up my pieces and hopefully the wind will take me in the right direction.
Sure.
I think if somebody sees, oh wow, this guy's got a little identity logo, he's got it all is working together, and designers should be making their own personal brand.
Yep.
And hopefully they are.
And I like your cohesive part, because I think that shows your ability to think outside of the realm of just your LinkedIn profile or your website. All of that is part of your own personal individual brand.
Yeah.
And so making that cohesive, making it, something that would be client worthy, I think is an important ad.
Yeah. I mean, I could be working on, I need to do better than it myself.
Yeah, you want to talk about your personal website?
No, we're good there. We're good there. It's coming along. Cobbler's children. But I do think, though, if you have your website and you get your website done, and you just like your own little company.
Yeah.
Back to your comment, LinkedIn. Maybe you have an Instagram account. Maybe you have a Facebook account. But you carry your whole brand through all of that.
Right.
Because they're gonna check you out.
Yep.
They're gonna check. Oh, put his name in Facebook. Put his name in LinkedIn. Let's see what this.
Yep.
Because I do think it does, the branding effort will stand out, but they also want to see who you are and what you're about. I mean, I've had questions thrown at me like, what do you like to do in the office?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. I just like to come here and watch. But for real, it's like, what do you like to do fun in the office? They want to see what type of personality, and that goes back to who you are and how you fit.
Yep.
And
so when you got 3 applicants on the table, all of them about the same design level, and one of them calls you and says, dude, I'm late for my interview, do you hire that one or the other 2?
Unless the other 2 have a funny joke, I'm hiring
I'm
hiring the dude.
Cool.
Someone who knows how to relate. I mean, in some ways, I guess maybe that shows a little. There was a little no fear there, or there was lack of respect. But I honestly don't remember how he. I think he was hearing things. I don't feel like I would ever say, "Dude, I'm late."
No.
You ever seen that video where the guy's surfing in, I think it's like Newport?
Oh my god.
He's so pitted, so pitted.
That was you.
That probably. Hey, dude, I'm late.
Whoop-pow.
Yeah, whoop-pow.
Yep.
They did an interview on that guy. Like
Later in life.
Yeah, they've caught up with him like whatever it's been.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, well, I knew I had to say something. You know, he knew he was on the news. He hammed it up a little bit.
How high was he?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if he was high.
No, that's him, huh?
Could be.
Was that your bros down in Hawaii?
No. He was in Newport.
Well, cool. I appreciate your thoughts and comments. We'll wrap this one up. If you're ever applying for a job with Josh Winspear, call him up, tell him you're going to be late, and holler at him, dude.
Say, what's up, dude?
That's it. Okay.
So pitted.
Josh, thanks for coming on. Thanks for doing round 2 of this interview.
Hey, it was my pleasure.
We had better topics this time. I actually like this one more than the first one.
Yeah, it felt natural.
All natural. And that's where we're going to end it. Thanks again. We'll talk to you guys later.
Dude, I shaved even.
Yeah, you look cute.
Shaved everything off.
Everything?
Nah, I haven't done